And welcome back to the second part of this little journey through Sekiro. And as it turns out, I completely messed up last time and missed a major NPC, so a friend pointed this out to me and I actually went and checked it out. And the reason I was struggling with the ogre boss is because I actually didn't have a few very key upgrades and was actually missing a whole sort of path through the game. And this is where Sekiro starts to feel a bit more like From's other games. Like there's another branching path through that world, like another offshoot. And I think it has something more like Bloodborne in that it's got that thing where if you're on a path through the game world and you get stuck at one boss, you can switch tracks to this other section of the game and see if you can progress there. And you're sort of going through them, or at least I am, sort of in tandem. I'm going between the wintry present, trying to rescue Master, and what is diving into a memory through a bell, which reminds me a lot of the memory diving stuff that was in Dark Souls 2. So that was pretty cool. That concept of like messing about with memory and time is back. Although whether this is explicitly time travel in the way that Dark Souls 2's memory visits appear to be, I don't know, but certainly something strange going on, and the further in to Sekiro I get, just the stranger I get. But this new area is just a nice change of pace. It's a whole different like environment. It's all rainy and stuff, and it's also just a very different space. It's all these little like clusters of like sort of mini style sections, and it's here that the game really feels like Tenchu, like really, like I mean if you're just look at this, like if anyone's played Tenchu back in the day, this is like classic that, and it's pretty cool. Like and it's weird that as one element comes in that reminds me of previous From games like the branching paths, other stuff comes in that feels new and fresh for From. Although I guess it coming from Tenchu might dilute how fresh it actually feels. But one major thing that has happened is that I have unlocked new weapons, or rather new tools for the prosthetic arm, and also skills. And this is the game finally beginning to blossom and open up to me. I think I was really beating my hands on the wall before, like I just had felt like I had to just improve the basics. And now it's like, oh no, here we go. Here is options. Here is choices. It's not the breadth of customization you get in Dark Souls or even Bloodborne, but it is way more involved now. And suddenly I'm making choices about actually what I think is important, and it's giving me just encounter to encounter. It's giving me opportunities to mix things up. Went for this nice little somersaulty move, which is pretty cool. And now for the prosthetic, I now have a heavy axe and a flame thing, which I use to batter the fuck out of that annoying as shit ogre. But the thing that I really got to grips with as I was progressing through this memory area is actually the combat. Because what I've discovered is like movement isn't a big deal in combat itself. Like dodging and jumping is, but like movement with the left stick, the analog stick, or your keys, I guess, isn't a big deal. Like you don't have to dance around opponents the way you do in Dark Souls. And this, you kind of just want. It's all about timing. It's all about like matching their blows, trading blows. It's not about staying out of their swings. Like Dark Souls was all about learning the patterns of their attacks so that you could dance in and out of their swings. And this, it's more about just timing. It's more like, okay, they're going to strike, I'm going to do this, and matching it with a counter, or the thing that I've unlocked now is the Sekiro counter, which is like this cool move where you step in someone's sword and then just like stab them in the face basically, and it's great, but it's really tricky to pull off. So I had a good practice in this ogre, really get my timings down, and you can see when I really got to grips with it, it was just a case of literally just tapping dodge attack, tapping dodge attack, like just really just all about timing. But the feeling of this game world as a sandbox, as opposed to like Dark Souls or Bloodborne's more sort of directed world design, is really prevalent. Like there's definitely still like the DNA of a From game in here, but the individual spaces feel like these little playgrounds, and I'm constantly finding myself like in this weird thing where you're encouraged to sort of run away from fights and lure enemies, and like sort of you have control over how you come to a fight, what you bring to it. And I think that's very different from Dark Souls, where you were faced with these challenges that you really could only approach one way. How you managed once you were in that encounter, you had some choice, but in Sekiro, it's like you get a say, and just you can pick enemies off, you can strike at a particular foe first off, and so it's a very different pace to encounters, and a lot of the spaces mix that up, and create really interesting challenges that you get a lot of different ways to tackle. And I feel like what they've taken away in terms of choice as to your weapons and things, they've given back to the player in terms of actually how you can interact with the space, and that's pretty cool. It's really interesting. I'm really into it. So I'm progressing down these two paths sort of concurrently, and in the memory I've now reached this burning area, and I'm stuck at this big drunk guy who spews poison and stuff. I have an ally for the fight, which is pretty cool. Like that's a pretty neat touch. A little different. But I'm really struggling. This guy hits hard, and I don't really have those counters down yet. And there's a whole mob of other enemies to deal with. It's a really challenging space from what I've been able to learn so far. Back in the snowy world, I have reached some mad shit. So after the ogre, I went through this little fortress area, and I managed to finally defeat this goddamn general. It took me a lot of tries to really whittle down these group of opponents, figure out how to pick them off one by one, and then come at this general who was a real tough bastard to fight. But I've now bested him. But then moving on from that, then I had to deal with this fucking massive snake shit. Like, just look at this fucking thing. Like, this is a weird encounter. There's just a fucking giant snake now in this game, I guess. Like, and this is where I kind of want to talk about some of the story stuff, because I'm finding it really. This is just like, it's a storily set game, but now you have these elements that are so outlandish. And I got an explanation for the dragon rot. The dragon rot, it basically, as Emma explains it, is so basically as I'm dying and being resurrected, the energy, the life force required to do that has to come from somewhere. So now, as I keep dying, I am now drawing on the life force of others. But I was given an antidote, which I used very hastily, and I'm now wondering if I should have held off on it, but I was worried something bad would happen to the NPCs if I kept it going, so I got rid of it ASAP. But I think it's an interesting dynamic, because basically, you're punished for failure, but in a way that you can shrug off if you want. Like, if you're willing to forego quest lines and side quests and stuff, then yeah, it's like, just keep dying, just keep resurrecting, fuck all these NPCs. So there's some of, a part of it is about skill, but part of it is also you can make a conscious choice to just not give a fuck and see what happens once you spread this illness to everyone. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty interested where that goes. And then there's this memory, which is pretty strange, because Wolf hasn't got total amnesia, but clearly can't account for certain events. In the beginning bit, there's mention that he didn't know what happened on the night in which the fortress fell, in which is implied that's when he was given the blood that's now bringing him back from the dead. But we're also it seems to be that he doesn't remember this memory, this attack on the temple 3 years ago. So yeah, it feels like Wolf is his. I mean, I'm wondering if there's some sort of Winter Soldier type deal where Wolf is just being brainwashed, memory wiped, just sent out to do their bidding. But then again, we're going through this memory as if it's a real space, not just as if it's a memory. So maybe time travel is fucking going on, like in Dark Souls 2. I really don't know. It's very strange, it's very weird, and I'm all the way into it, to be honest. But then there's this big fucking snake, and I mean, what? There, I have no context for what the giant snake is about. But the snake is hanging out here. I mean, does it serve your master? Is it just hanging out? Is it to do with these people trying to steal the bloodline? Like, no idea. It is quite a left field arrival, and I have no idea. It's super cool. I'm super into it. I just no idea what that's about. And I nah. I've no, at this point in time, I have no guesses to offer. Fuck knows what it's about. But yeah, at this point, like a few hours and I'm finding a pretty cool place with Sekiro. It's finally started to open up. I'm getting comfortable with the combat. There's more elements in the story in play. It's becoming, the world is becoming more interesting, both as a space to move around in, and also as a setting. I'm getting way more involved, and yeah, like I think I've reached a point where I'm properly on board with Sekiro now. I'm like, okay, I get it. I keep thinking about it when I'm not playing it, and the DNA of From's previous games is there. It's coming through, but they are also really mixed this up in interesting ways. Yeah, so let's see what other mad shit is going to follow a giant snake in this game. Okay, so before finalizing this video, I decided to go and have another go at a bunch of bits of Sekiro and made some really good progress. So I got all the way up to this gate and this horse boy, who I actually conquered in just a few attempts. I was pretty chuffed with that. Like, I really got in the zone with just like. Because I think this is like a mindfuck, because I think what the game wants you to do with a big charging opponent like this is it wants you to go, yeah, you gotta run, you gotta move around, because this is what you would do in Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but really what you want to do is just fucking go right at him, stay up in his face. Like, it's the same with every other opponent in this game. You want to get up in there, you don't want to dance around. So yeah, fucking had this great little fight with him, and then you just tackle him and brutalize him, and yeah, fucking love it. But I also went back to the memory of the Hitana estate and had another go at this drunk bastard, and it took some doing, but I fucking got it. And this beautiful, beautiful fight where literally I had like a slither of health left to go at him, and I managed to do it. I didn't get to save the ally in the fight, so I'm a bit gutted at that, but I did get this beautiful comeback where this little prick chibbed me after my win, and then I fucking came back and just stomped them, and that was pretty satisfying. So I managed to progress into the estate and met the sick mother in the present, but in the past, but our son is also dying here. Is this another son? It's very confusing. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. And then I got all prepared for this fight. This guy's talking about illusion, and then I get down there and the door's locked. And I'm assuming I get a key somewhere else, but it was a little bit anticlimactic. But so I'm back to the present and continuing on from where I defeated the horse boy. I've bumped into some strange people, including this guy who was all up for a fight and then decided, nah, actually, he wants me to go and hunt down a bunch of rats, as he's calling them. And I've actually done a bunch of them. I found a bunch of the bamboo hat wearing guys, and they got me once. Everybody gets one, but then I came back and I fucking diced them. Nay bother. And then started working my way up the hill. Thought it was quite good. You can hear this like stompy noise, and I was like, oh, that's not good. And lo and behold, yeah, you go in here, and then this fucking thing shows up, and just Jesus fuck, look at the fucking state of this thing. But I didn't learn the lesson that I learned from the horse guy, which was, get up in his face, deflect, parry, don't try and dodge. So I got whipped. But I think next time I'm gonna go at it, gonna do it right, gonna fucking kill it. Just you wait and see.